It's all about presentation, in the end. People like a soft insertion of new concepts and new ideas, slamming a dry fist into the consciousness of the populace while roaring obscenities into their face until their eardrums warp into a permanent bleeding mess, achieves only one thing, and it isn't the support for your cause, it's resistance. You and your unwashed, scabies-ridden hippie friends, chain-linking your arms outside of the entrance to Burger King achieves nothing.
Jeg er ligeglad. Fuck rød. Ellers så løber jeg igennem. Jeg smash dig nogen, din svand! Hvad? Har du fucking problem? Er der nogen af jer, der har et problem? Hvad? Der fucking opgør ordentligt, mand! Fucking hippier, mand! Hvad? Tager du fucking fat på mig igen? Shut up and get your burger! Alright? Ud din mors pik! Alright, you good?
You look like morons, all while another cow looks up at the stunning pistol pressed against his forehead. People will continue to eat meat and you will only inconvenience them momentarily until they eat meat again. So banding together and physically blocking the entrance to various fast food joints isn't enough to obliterate the entirety of the world's meat production. But what about shocking people into action? And disgust people away from a purchase of burgers, or fur for that matter? PETA, for instance, is seemingly convinced that showing dirt-poor Chinese fur farmers tearing the skin off of a still-living dog like an old sock will somehow invigorate you with the drive and inner fire needed to join them in stopping industrial cruelty against animals for the sole sake of making a profit. But it's more likely that such videos will nauseate you, to be honest, and cut off another frail tendril from the faith you once had in humanity. I'm not exactly ecstatic every time Ricky Gervais on Twitter tweets a movie clip with some inbred monster in some sandy goat pasture of a nation cutting off the head of a cat just for fun. Just as little as I would like to see a video of a man raping a 5-year-old in some dirty hotel room in Thailand in order to by some activist groups be made aware of how horrible the sexual molestation of children is. As if I didn't know. As if any sane and morally sound person didn't already know. I'm equally uninterested in, while I'm drinking my morning coffee, seeing a video, again generously provided by Ricky, as of now unfollowed, Gervais, depicting some other asshole from yet again a developing country beating a puppy to death with a piece of wood. Yes, Ricky, hurting animals is terrible. Now what's next? Are you gonna bring awareness to that shit stinks? Such footage achieves nothing except further illustrating the cruelty of mankind and giving you a feeling of utter powerlessness. You can't stop that person. You don't have a name. You don't even have a location. All you have is a display of cruelty. So bravo. I have never in my life met a person who likes PETA, or have been inspired by them to make a change. But I've met plenty of people who have been exposed to their Dr. Dolittle snuff videos and hate them for it. So disgust and revulsion doesn't work. It doesn't work in any real sense. You can scar people through fucked up videos, but you can't magically make them be genuinely interested in creating actual permanent change. That takes something else. But what about the next generation? Shouldn't we listen to their voices in order to gain our bearings about what needs to be done in order to optimally preserve this big blue ball that we sadly all share with each other for our children and for our grandchildren? Children. What about the children? Can't someone please think about and listen to the children? Like this autistic girl from Sweden.
Our house is on fire. I am here to say...
Dressed up like a 9-year-old, who with a quivering voice and a pre-rehearsed speech tells us all that the best course of action in order to maintain tolerable living conditions on planet Earth is to freak out, panic.
But I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. And then I want you to act.
And start making completely asinine demands about cutting carbon emissions to a degree which makes Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez' Green New Deal seem like a plausible and realistic approach to solving our problems with dirty energy. Yes, that's stupid. The primary problem with child political activists is that they grow older, or that an even more adorable child activist comes along and drops the old, no longer child activist before she even has time to say,
"How dare you?"
People do not like to be infantilized, unless that's their thing. But generally speaking, talking down to people in an aggressive and condemning manner regarding their life choices, be it about what they wear, what they listen to, read, how they travel, or if they commit the despicable crime against nature of producing offspring, especially if the parents are white. All of this isn't well received. So what works? What type of activism actually works? Well, you use options. Options work. I believe that people fundamentally want to do good. The consumer likes to feel like their consumption doesn't cause undue suffering to animals or the exploitation of poor people in third world countries or damages the environment. People like to do this to the extent that is possible for them. So there's where our focus should be laid. Not on blame and hysterical shaming tactics, but on using this will to do good. You will not realistically as an activist ever get people to eat less meat or pollute less through calling them murderers or accusing them of ruining the planet for their own selfish needs. That will only result in them digging in deeper and resenting you more. Greta and the people pulling her strings way of conducting activism is the absolutely worst way of doing it. You can and should try to make people want to pay a few bucks more for meat in order to add a couple of extra years to Wilbur's life, convincing people to pay a little bit more in order to add some more days to a pig's life, for instance, so that he or she can be a pig and enjoy fresh air, see the sun, and just live a little bit longer and a little bit better. And this will be done by allowing farmers to have a broader profit margin and not due to immoral competition that treats animals like garbage, be forced to keep animals in cramped and dirty living conditions until their deaths just in order to be able to compete. People eat meat because it tastes good, not because they get a kick from the thoughts of animal suffering. A majority of people think that that is a negative effect of consuming meat. Reduce the misery and perhaps overconsumption by pleading to humans' innate will to do good. But activists view human nature as being evil, which needs to be controlled, shamed, and addressed with aggression, and maybe even violence. That's why animal rights activists and environmentalists constantly want to get the government involved in their activism. They need the government's brawn in order to enforce their will upon the consumer, all under the threat of economic punishments. The only reason you would need to get the government involved in your activism is due to a complete lack of trust in the inner agency of the citizen, the consumer. But I trust in people's will to do good. We just need to give the consumer more options in order to be able to do so. People won't stop eating meat or traveling, but we can lay far more attention on offering options for how they choose to do it. That is how you create permanent and positive change through activism. Not like this.
This is what happens when direct action prompts a public reaction. Anger erupted after a rush hour train was held up for more than 10 minutes, and neither station staff nor the police intervened.
You come to work in your car. Imagine someone needs to go to hospital or something.
With other Extinction Rebellion members gluing themselves to trains, commuters couldn't understand why public transport had become the latest target.
They're doing it the wrong way. They're doing it for the right reasons, but they're doing it the wrong way.
No one should do that anyway, regardless of what it is. That's just out of order and it's not right. They could have killed themselves anyway.
I think they've really shot themselves in the foot, to be fair. A lot of people getting public transport as opposed to getting their own transport.
Because when you yell at a group of people demanding that they jump, a vast majority are going to sit down instead. It doesn't work. Violence, threats, shaming, disgust, revulsion, all of that does not work if you want to create permanent change through activism. If you have any thoughts about what I just talked about, I would love to hear them. It feels like a very relevant topic because Greta is a phenomenon which is probably going to become more popular in the years to come. We've always been seeing people using children as a megaphone in order to pitch their ideas to the public, and it's actually kind of scary how quickly she rose to the status that she has today, where they just managed to push a girl through the halls of power for no other reason than that she's a child. She's not more well informed than anybody else. She has the attribute of being young. And I would really like to hear your thoughts on the phenomenon, and also any ideas you have of how we can better practice activism in a way which doesn't condemn people to being shitty individuals just due to the way they live. I also here want to add, additionally, that in my last video, there were a lot of really kind words written by you about my friend, and also words in support of myself and how I've tried to handle the situation. And you are too many in order to address you all personally, but I want to say thank you, and I definitely don't regret posting the video. Time and time again, I am I'm glad to see how what a great group of people that come as viewers and see my channel. Some of you guys have been supporting me from day one, and it feels great to still have you around. So thank you very much for that. Take care of yourself.